Hey guys, so good to see you. Haven't seen you guys in a while. Come inside. I don't think in a million years anyone could have convinced me pre the pandemic that there would be such a thing as a global pandemic. Because to be honest, in my mind, pandemics were something that were relegated to the history books.
Well, I had a question for him regarding the 5 containers that we're sending to Africa. I've been working from home now since March of last year. It's more than, 18, 19 months now.
But we passed away this
Oh,
past
look at all these
Thursday.
folks.
Prayers for several family members that are sick or health challenges.
I had no idea we would still be here. And so, wow, that's all I can say.
I was really stuck at home like everybody else, I guess.
Like most people, we just had to learn to pivot.
All in all, I would say it's been a good bonding time with the family. There's also that upside of all of us being around the house and having our various places in the house and our little offices to handle school or handle work.
We've taken a lot of walks. We get on bicycles and we go for bike rides, or we literally go and sit on the bench looking at the lake. We watch the ducks.
I just embraced flexibility. Some days didn't look like other days. Some days we would be focused on getting, our work done, and then there were some days that were just like, you know what, put your sneakers on, we're going outside, we're going to play.
As weeks turned into months, and then, those months became a year, and you thought, is this ever going to end? ADRA's mission is to serve vulnerable communities around the world. It's what ADRA's done for decades. With the onset of COVID, obviously that brought just a whole new set of challenges.
Borders are closed. The ports are closed. The supply chain has been disrupted, as it has been disrupted here. You need supplies. You need your medical supplies, your consumables, not to mention that you need protective gear like isolation gowns, PPEs, and whatnot to respond to this pandemic.
We had to pivot in terms of the work that we were doing, and we then directed our activities to these vulnerable communities, but now through the lens that obviously there was a global pandemic.
ADRA, that's who we are, that's what we do. We are involved in, crises and emergencies and different things, and we've had many over the last 18 months in various, capacities, and we have not missed a beat.
In the year of 2019, we served 14 million people around the globe who found themselves either destitute or in vulnerable situations. During 2020, we served 35 million people. Now, if you'd said to me pre-pandemic that we would not only achieve that scale of impact on vulnerable communities, but could do so remotely, working remotely away from the office, I really would have said that was just impossible. It would never be the case. And yet here we sit able to reflect back on 2020 and seeing that we more than doubled our impact globally.
Even though we're still here, I think it still shows how resilient we are as an agency to be able to still function in times of a global pandemic like COVID-19.
Our local church infrastructure around the world, that's what makes us stronger. And in responding to the pandemic, it wasn't ADRA alone, it was ADRA with all the church institutions working hand in hand with our partners, with our friends, with our volunteers. The church was a mobilizing force, and so this ADRA, we had resources, but we needed the volunteers, we needed everybody to work together. And to me, it just demonstrated how strong of an influence for good we can be in the world, a force for good in the world if we work together. We as an agency, we acted almost like a catalyst to connect institutions and to engage our logistic partners, our aviation partners, to mobilize the resources, to get involved in the supply chain. And then we engaged the local ADRA offices and the church institutions locally and reach those health institutions and clinics and hospitals. And so the product left here, but it arrived there as a lifeline for our institutions, whether it was an oxygen plant in India, where there was the essential PPEs and supplies that are going to Africa and other places of the world.
So I believe we've made a significant impact around the globe, not only with existing communities we were working with, but as I say, having more than doubled our impact, have reached new communities. We've taken the mission of the ADRAs Church to vulnerable people which ADRA hadn't been to before. And I just think that it's a wonderful testimony to God's blessing at a time of need. It just reminded me of the verse, the Lord says, "With me nothing is impossible." And to me, He's demonstrated that.
So as you've seen, we're not out of the weeds with the pandemic. We have various variants hitting us and hitting parts of the world. We had India this year, and we mobilized resources to put in place oxygen generation plans. And then Fiji happened recently. We had to immediately brace up, and we got funding for Fiji with our partners to support and other nations in the South Pacific. Then just recently, this week, we're mobilizing to respond in Paraguay, Tanzania, and Philippines. We received resources to help those countries. And as we speak, we're putting another 6 containers on the water. Some of them already left to 6 nations in Africa. But it will still help with providing those critical medical supplies and PPEs for these African nations. And actually this week, we just received in our GC new warehouse 10 pallets of essential PPEs in partnership with Adventist Health in California and Globus Relief that are going to Ghana.
This is something that we're going to have to respond to in the immediate need, but there's going to have to be a plan for how we're going to engage different countries and regions in a long-term way. And we're still doing it. Our team hasn't dismantled. The pandemic hasn't gone away.
I honestly did not believe we could have achieved what we did. And that was only achieved, number 1, by God's grace, and number 2, by the commitment of all of our staff members within ADRA International and around the globe who saw the need and rose to the occasion. I couldn't be more proud to lead a group of people like that. I give glory to God for that.